guys, welcome back to Resistance Chicks. We are your hosts, Leah and Michelle. No matter what I do, I cannot get the 5-year-old that lives inside of Leah to not talk during the intro. It's just within her. She can't help herself. Today is December 6th, 2017. We have a lot to cover, but first and foremost, the most breaking news, aside from the fact that my bed is really comfortable and I've just come from it, so if you see a sleepy eye, that's why I took a little nap to come to you refreshed. I think that's the polite thing to do. It's not unprofessional. It's very polite. Is if you guys have not seen the skit that we did on Sunday, what did we call it? The curious case of the counterfeit currency caper. That's what it is. Not curious case.
Yeah.
It wasn't the okay. It doesn't matter. Y'all gonna find it. It was really fun.
Alliterations there.
Yeah, exactly. It was really fun, and because it is not something that we went live with, that I edited it. It is obviously going to be put into the YouTube basement. Hard to find. So your first, take notes, get out your notepad, your pen and everything.
Go find it.
Your homework is to go and find that video, to watch it and share it. Okay, I'm very, very excited. It was really fun. So you guys need to see it if you did not. So what are we going to start with?
We haven't come to you in 2 days, and you miss a day, you miss a lot.
Yeah, we have missed a lot.
You know, every day there's some the plot thickens with the Mueller investigation. If you're watching Fox News, then you'll know on Tucker and Hannity, they're having people on all the time saying that it's just gotten out of control. You've got this Peter Strzok. Yeah. Who, I just found out today, he sent how many, I think it was like, I know it equaled to be 27 tweets to his mistress a day if he sent that many in 1 year. It's like 10,000 tweets that they have to read.
Like, hang on, though. Here's my question. Who tweets a mistress? Wouldn't that be something you would do on, like, private instant messaging?
Anthony Weiner.
I mean, seriously.
It's not. Well, see, here's the thing. If you're having an adulterous affair
on Twitter.
Well, no, I'm sorry. I meant text messages.
Okay, now thank you. You really had me going for a second.
I get them mixed up, the T's and the T's. No, the text messages, 27 text
Okay, that
messages.
makes way more sense. He had 22 tweets.
You know what?
To his mistress.
People, the whole time this is going through, everybody's saying the wrong things. It's the tweets, it's the text messages, it's the tweets. Most people are saying tweets and they don't mean it. They mean text messages.
Okay, because, if you're tweeting some, if she's your mistress, I'm guessing that the tweets are not going to be appropriate. But that's just a guess.
So, we're going to get to a little bit of that later. I'm floored that Donald Trump is moving the embassy to...
We're going to cover that.
Israel. I have a Jewish friend.
No, he's not moving it to Israel.
Okay, so it's really late right now.
You didn't take the nap. We got home. I said, give me 45 minutes before we go live, and I'll be good to go.
I can either slow down, or I can just have you interpret.
It's like drunk broadcasting. Being tired. Welcome to Resistance Chicks, where you never know what you're going to get.
Not even Nancy Pelosi.
Today, Trump moves all embassies to Israel.
I don't have any Botox. I'm not like Nancy Pelosi, who can't actually open her mouth to say a word. Because she talks like this.
Yeah.
Have you noticed that?
Yeah, I have.
She talks, she can't earn her whole lip like this the whole time. They don't even move. Like this.
So.
All right. So, Trump moves the embassy to Jerusalem. This is Nancy Pelosi. Okay.
That's really
all right. But in other news, I want to start out with the wildfires. And this is a amazing horse rescue caught on tape. So let's go here.
On the ranch right now, all of the people frantically working here, trying to get these horses out of here. If you pan around, you can see how many animals are on this ranch, and we've got thick black smoke and flames on the ranch. So there are volunteers showing up, trying to get the horses out. I'm sorry, it's hard to talk. It's hard to keep my eyes open because the smoke is so thick.
Oh, I can imagine. That's got to be really hard.
It's a tense situation. People very frantic. We rolled up here. We have seen airdrops, but we're not seeing a lot of firefighters. I don't know if that's because they're on the backside of this or if they just haven't gotten here yet, but we're seeing that black smoke. We're seeing these poor horses that need to get out of here. I talked to one woman who was trying to get her horse out of here, and she was putting tape on the side of the horse with her name and number. She said she was just going to load her horse onto any truck that came in here and get him out of here. That's how dire this situation is. Again, this is Gibson Ranch. You can see those winds. You can see that smoke. You can see how difficult it is to breathe and talk out here. And you've got all these people, presumably who work here, who are running around with buckets of water, trying to figure out what to do with these horses. We saw some bales of hay that caught fire. They were able to extinguish those on their own.
It's right there! The fire's right there!
We have not seen any firefighters, at least on this side of the ranch. So hopefully they will come soon. Hopefully we'll see more airdrops. We had one that went right overhead us, right on top of our van. So they are out here, but we're not seeing any of those ground crews. And if you can look, Marvin, if you pan a little bit, you can see the flames right there, right through the barn.
Yeah.
There they go.
I see him.
Oh, gosh.
Breaking. You know what? This is the really sad situation here, and the sad reality that our animals are certainly some of the most vulnerable. Christine, if you can stay for a minute, or are you in danger yourself?
No, we're okay.
Okay, then
We're okay. Is there anything we can do to help? Okay, they're asking us to grab horses. We're going to grab horses, guys. We're going to go in there. There's so many of these horses.
Thank you.
Well,
Finally,
you
a
don't do that,
broadcaster.
Christine, as you're
Yep,
doing that,
yep, we're going to do that.
do you know they're going to Pierce College? Is that where the large animals are being taken to? Do you know where they're going to go?
You know, I don't know. We literally rolled up here about 5 minutes ago.
Okay.
This is
Hold on, let
incredible.
me talk to some people. Do you need me to grab a horse, guys? Okay, here you go. Come on, baby. All right.
Well,
come on,
ladies
come on.
and gentlemen, you're
Come on.
watching the reality of the situation there.
All right.
Look at that heavy black smoke. Christine, thank you so much for what you're
Okay.
doing in
Yeah,
helping
of
those.
course, guys, we'll keep you updated. Oh, my
Okay,
goodness.
those
Here you
residents
go.
there.
Maybe our
There you go.
photographer can grab a horse
Here,
too
you
as he
take
puts
him?
the
You got
camera
it?
down.
Okay. I'm gonna go grab
Oh my goodness.
Go ahead, photographer. Put the camera down.
All right.
There
So
you
many
go.
horses there.
Good
as,
idea.
As they're
Well
being
done.
shot,
Finally!
as our photographer
You know,
puts
when
his
you
camera
get to
down
these
and
kind of
goes to grab
places,
a
you've
horse
got
as
to
well,
realize
those
that the
flames are
shot
getting so
is not
close.
worth
It's so
it.
heartbreaking
Right,
to see
but he
that.
can still
So
get the
sad
shot.
to see.
Seriously.
We are hoping that they will be able to get them into those trailers and get them to some facilities.
I'm
From what we
sick.
understand,
Like,
there
this
is a
is
large
so
animal shelter
awful.
at Pierce College. That's at Winnetka Avenue. They are still accepting animals, so hopefully they can get them into those trailers and get them to Pierce College. It's so sad to hear. The horses are so scared. You can just
can
hear
hear
them,
'em. Yeah.
and no wonder why. And I'm sure the air quality, as we've been talking about, is bad as well, even with those flames so close. Look at that heavy black smoke. This is really a situation that
Let's go. Move it,
I'm not necessarily sure that they expect
chop,
it,
chop,
and that's the
buckwheat.
problem with the winds. It is so indiscriminate.
come on.
It can blow and shift at any given moment. So even if you think you're ready and you're prepared and you're out of there, you might have a sense of, well,
They are
okay, it's
catching
not
this,
here
like,
yet.
at the
I may-
very last
I may
minute,
miss this, but then
getting these
again, you
horses
turn
out of
around
there.
and they can just come up so quickly.
Yes, and thank goodness
Weird
these
works is
people,
I had
these
goosebumps
handlers
watching
are
this
so
earlier.
calm right now. They're getting all these horses to safety. But look, Pat, how quickly
Exactly.
is raining down
Dad!
on these animals and
Come
these
on!
people. We know this is the Sunland area. In Sunland, Tahunga, Somar, there are so many large animals, so many horses in that area. So this is not the only place that is doing these evacuations.
Wow.
That's incredible. That is absolutely incredible.
Wow. Yeah. Well done. Reporters getting on the ground and making things happen. Got some video here of this is the 405 here. This is incredibly scary because traffic here is trying to get home. There's rush hour. Sometimes I can make it bigger, sometimes I can't.
Oh, wow. It looks like a movie.
Mordor.
Yeah. I mean, this looks like
Star
Lord of the
Wars.
Rings for sure.
I'm
Just mountains
it's
on
just
fire.
way too close for me. It's like wherever I'm at, I would just probably stay. But then again, this is the 405. We lived in California for a few months. We traveled this all the time.
Oh my gosh. Yeah, as a matter of fact, we had friends that live in Simi Valley today that were posting, is anybody else leaving? Because I'm not sure. So, It's just, it's incredible. It's heartbreaking.
incredible.
I mean, it literally looks kind of like a volcano. It's the entire mountainside.
No, thank you. And it's going so slow, and people, there's no way out. Like, to me, this is like the epitome of claustrophobia to me.
Yeah.
But there's fire on either side. There's no way to turn around. There's no way to go back.
Yeah. It reminds me of our Lord of the Rings song. Oh,
Misty eye of the mountain below,
keep careful watch of my
soul. You know, LA's on fire right now. It's, you know, spiritually.
It is. And you know what? I'm not discounting. Listen, okay, so it totally could be my mom's on the CIA did it. Starting these fires on purpose. Totally could be. But either way, I do kind of wonder, you know, the country will rejoice when they are serving God. And when they are not, then bad things are going to happen. It's just a fact. And the entire country is shifting one direction. And we are turning back to face God with a repentant heart. And there's one state
you can go with it.
in our country. And I'm not saying, I'm not going to call this as the wrath of God or the judgment of God, but I'm just saying it's possible. We just have to
So I want to put this in perspective the way you're saying that. The Bible is clear that God does use things to get our attention. And there are a hedge of protection that come off of us when we sin. However, he also says in this world you're going to have tribulation, you're going to have bad things happen.
Right.
But be of good cheer, for I've overcome this world.
Right.
So we turn to him in the midst of bad things happening. So I don't say, I know a lot of people say 9/11 was a wrath of God or this or that or this or that. I like to see a situation and how the people react. So what happened in Texas is just like the best example of this.
Yeah.
Where we had a horrible, horrible hurricane.
Sure.
Massive flooding.
Right.
And all the people around, regardless of their political affiliation,
Right.
because, you know, it was black, white, Hispanic, mostly Hispanic in Houston, and you know, minorities, probably voted Democrat. However, a lot of them were Christians, and they sought God.
Yeah.
And a lot of Christian Republicans came. It was so bipartisan. It was just love. I mean, everybody threw everything that we're told separates us.
Right.
Political party, race, economics. It was all thrown out the window. You had people in mansions who needed help. You had people in mansions helping other people. You had people in government housing needing help. You had people in government housing helping each other.
Right.
You had this amazing, awesome move of people, and you can use that to solidify your relationship with each other and heal. And then you have instances like Puerto Rico.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, Puerto Rico is a socialist territory of the United States, where there are a lot of communists there. Communists don't believe in unfortunately, in helping one another. They always in the back of their brain. They want
the government is going to do the helping. I don't have to do it.
Exactly.
And that's the thing about communism and socialism, is it takes away the individual desire to sacrifice and help, because you just figure that comes from above.
And so whenever you have to change hands to get charity out there, it always, it's wasteful. There's corruption, and it takes longer. But the Cajun Navy got their boats, and they went from Louisiana to Texas, right?
Yeah.
But in Puerto Rico, you don't have this same. And I'm just using it as an example. Puerto Ricans, I just read, and they're still without power, and
it's devastating.
And in their minds, and we know from one at San Juan mayor, she's a communist. She wants everybody just to do things for her. So it's hard. It's hard to help people who. Give it to me now, I need it.
Yes.
Rather than, could you help me, I need it.
Right.
You know? All right. So,
so pray for those in California, because, I mean, like I was listening to the radio today, we have to remember these are real people. We're talking family pictures, family heirlooms, horses, animals, things like that.
We have so many friends in California, and if you're in there, we're praying for you that God will keep you safe, I'm praying that God will open up the highways for people to get places that are safe, because trying to get anywhere in California is just a nightmare. So my favorite news of the month, year. I was kidding. When we heard that Trump was going to finally take what was passed in Congress in 1995, signed over by Bill Clinton. It just has never been done. It's just never been done. The embassy is in Tel Aviv in Israel. Yep. It doesn't make sense because that's not where Israel actually operates their government. Right. And that's not where their capital is.
And it's also not where other countries have their embassies.
And so a friend of mine, a Jewish friend of mine, sent me a left-leaning...
You have Jewish friends because, Leah, that kind of makes you a Zionist, and I don't know that I can watch your show anymore. Stop it.
He sent me an article from a left-leaning Jewish, I guess, Israeli news, where it says that, dude, there's already a perfect building there. I guess Reagan had it built, and it's already there. It's just a little bit smaller, but it'd work perfectly. All they need to do, literally, what this article says, is just change the sign. Right. It's ready to go.
And move the people inside.
So it says, and maybe you can look this up in the HAARTZ. It's called Moving U.S. Embassy to Jerusalem Only Requires New Sign on Consulate Building, city officials say. Try to find that one. So this article was first published on December 14th, 2016. And it was republished, so on the 5th. Top city officials in Jerusalem, Mayor Nir Barkat and his deputy Mir Turgman, say they have been contacted by American parties to find a suitable location to build an American embassy in Jerusalem after the president vowed to move it. However, the city planning officials shrugged that there's no need. There's no need to build a building. No.
This is from the same one, though.
No, it's moving U.S. Embassy to Jerusalem only requires new sign on consulate building.
Okay.
Keep trying. It's kind of a long title. It's a working title. Right. So city planners are saying, hey, yo, oy vey, there's no need to build anything new in the house to house the embassy in the Israeli capital. That was my Jewish accent.
That was really good.
Kind of a little bit Italian.
Yeah, a little bit.
Oy vey, that's all I know. All right, Mazel Tov. If I was a rich man.
That's her fiddler on the roof. Wow, that's...
The Americans built a big new consulate.
Do you want me to put this up for the people?
Neighborhood of no, sure, why not? Which had been planned in advance to be converted into the actual embassy one day. Okay, so what I'm trying to say is they've already built the building that had already been planned to be the embassy. It's already there. Dude, right. Already there. Oops. All the Americans need to do is change the sign on the door, they say. The idea of housing the American envoy to Israel in a new building in Jerusalem arose during George Shultz's term as Secretary of State under Ronald Reagan. Briefly visiting Israel in the late 1980s, Shultz gave the order to find land for an embassy. The consulate staff located a few possibilities, one of which were just underneath the picture of empty land.
Okay.
On the intersection of Hebron and Yanovsky Streets was subsequently earmarked by the Israel Lands Administration.
Wait a minute. I'm clicking on stuff.
For the embassy.
I'm still learning. Okay.
Israel and Washington even signed an agreement to constrain the height of the buildings around there to 300 meters to meet future security requirements. However, in 2002, the Americans bought a different lot altogether, quite close by.
I can't find where you're at anyway. There it is.
Right under there.
Okay.
In an area that had been no man's land between Israel and Jordan from 1948 to 1967. That is where the consulate went up in 2010. The consulate, which was planned by American architects, say that the building is about the same size. So, meanwhile, the deputy Jerusalem mayor, on behalf of Wake Up Jerusalem faction, Ofer Berkovich, said that while President Donald Trump plans to move the embassy to Jerusalem, the Israeli government itself operates 75 government units outside the capital in violation of its own basic law on Jerusalem. And so he said, hey, let's move everybody into Jerusalem.
Okay.
All right, so let's listen to our Presidente Trumpe with Pence leaning over him like, you're going to sign this.
That it is time to officially recognize Jerusalem as the capital
I wish Twitter videos played better.
of Israel. While previous presidents have made this a major campaign promise, they failed to deliver. Today, I am delivering. I am also directing the State Department to begin preparation to move the American Embassy from Tel Aviv
Donald Trump's going to be small.
to Jerusalem. This is a long overdue step to advance the peace process and to work towards a lasting agreement. Jerusalem is not just the heart of three great religions, but it is now also the heart of one of the most successful democracies in the world. This sacred city should call forth the best in humanity. So today we call for calm, for moderation, and for the voices of tolerance to prevail over the purveyors of hate. Our children should inherit our love, not our conflicts.
You know, I got to hand it to these people making these videos for Trump because,
Yeah, it's like a movie.
Like a new Hollywood, right?
So I'm curious, since this has come up, at what point in our show today are we going to hash it out with the anti-Jew viewers that we have, because we have many, many of them.
I don't know.
Versus...
Just a minute. Let Benny talk.
Okay.
BB.
Is a historic day. Jerusalem has been the capital of the Jewish people for 3,000 years.
The flag on his body.
It's been the capital of Israel for nearly 70 years. It was here that our temple stood, our kings ruled, our prophets preached. Jerusalem has been the focus of our hopes, our dreams, our prayers for 3 millennia. From every corner of the earth, our people yearn to return to Jerusalem, to touch its golden stones, to walk its hallowed streets. So it's rare to be able to speak of new and genuine milestones in the glorious history of this city. Yet today's pronouncement by President Trump is such an occasion. We're profoundly grateful for the President for his courageous and just decision to recognize Jerusalem as the capital of Israel and to prepare for the opening of the U.S. Embassy here. This decision reflects the President's commitment to an ancient but enduring truth, to fulfilling his promises, and to advancing peace. The President's decision is an important step towards peace, for there is no peace that doesn't include Jerusalem as the capital of the State of Israel. I call on all countries that seek peace to join the United States in recognizing Jerusalem as Israel's capital and to move their embassies here. I share President Trump's commitment to advancing peace between Israel and all of our neighbors, including the Palestinians. This has been our goal from Israel's first day, and we will continue to work with the President and his team to make that dream of peace come true. I also want to make clear there will be no change whatsoever to the status quo at the holy sites. Israel will always ensure freedom of worship for Jews, Christians, and Muslims alike. President Trump, thank you for today's historic decision to recognize Jerusalem as Israel's capital.
Very, very happy.
The Jewish people and the Jewish state will be forever grateful.
This is a very big deal.
You know, to me, and you know, I'm not saying that I'm like always the most awesome judge of character, but this man has been under a lot of stress lately. Okay, now, I don't approve of Israel's conflicts in Syria with Bashar al-Assad.
Yep.
They lied and said that he used chemical weapons. He didn't. Okay? There's a lot going on in the Middle East right now. However, we do have a hierarchy of good and evil, and we have to take each situation the way it is.
Right.
And first and foremost, people in a country have a right to exist.
Correct.
And so, if I'm going to say that Syria has a right to be Syria, then Israel has a right to be Israel, because they were both created around the same time anyways. Okay? Created by my UK viewers, by your empire. So, here's the thing. This had to happen because, I mean, just watch this. Do a little Google search. Capital of Israel. What does that say?
Jerusalem.
So why is this even a thing?
Right.
Linda Sour tweets out, Jerusalem is not the capital of Israel, it's the capital of Palestine.
Like we listen to anything she has to say.
What she, and a lot of people don't understand, is that Palestine was a region that encompassed a kind of a large area, and it's been chopped up into pieces, and, you know, different pieces begin to different to people. And actually, Jews in before World War II, they were called Palestinians, believe it or not. Christians were called Palestinians.
Right.
And the Palestinians are now just the Arabs.
Right. Well, it used to be a kind of like in a place of origin where you lived, you know.
It was an origin place. It had no government,
right,
whatsoever.
Like we live near Cincinnati. The people that live there would be Cincinnatians. You know what I mean?
But it wasn't a government.
But so. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Like seriously, it's more like where we live. There used to be the choir that we talked about,
the Northwest Territory.
You know what I mean? Where they were literally the Palestinian Jewish choir. They were Jews in Palestine. So,
all right. So this is Iman Tawhidi, and it's funny because people call him the fake Iman, the guy who's not a real Muslim, but he's the only one who talks like a
who has any
Muslim.
sense, right?
And he says, whether a Palestinian is Christian, Muslim, or atheist makes no difference to the argument. The land is Jewish land according to Islam, the Quran, and history. Palestinian Christians are originally converts from Judaism, and Muslims were nothing but invaders who converted by the sword.
Or converted by the sword.
Or converted by the sword. So they invaded and tried to take the Holy Land.
Right.
And trying to convert people and convert a whole group of people who were Jews or Christians.
So my question is, Leah, if we can go back into history, was Jerusalem Jewish when Jesus was there? Was it occupied by Jewish people?
That was another thing that Tawhidi said, and I really like that. So I'm going to see if I can find his exact
So how far back
words.
does that go? All right. So the point is, that's why they were allowed to kind of be re-solidified there, because it was already their place of origin. And my mom talks about this a lot here at Resistance Chicks. In modern day, we believe that God gives everyone land, a place where they are supposed to be, collectively, as a group, as a nation, all the way down individually to you yourself. God has ordained, kind of like he did with Abraham, and like he did with Moses, the promised land. You have your own little plot of land that God has for you somewhere, okay? And I have to tell you, biblically speaking, this is where the Jewish people belong.
Yeah, absolutely.
It is their God-given land. So it's that simple. Now, we could go into the argument, and I don't know that we want to, but for the sake of it, we can. Are they real Jews?
No, I'm not going to go that argument.
That's a lot of times that's what we get from people, and I got to tell you guys.
Well, there have been DNA tests done that the people, the Arabs actually there and the Jews there share the same DNA. So that's kind of, you know, they have the same kind of DNA.
One thing you need to know about the Jewish people is that they keep incredible records, far more than you or I. We may have to go to Ancestry.com, right, to look up our lineage. But when we talk to our Jewish friends, they can literally trace back their heritage back to certain tribes. I mean, this is very specific. So faking that, people believing that in an entire people are faking that, then okay, so where did the rest of these Jewish tribes, did they just dissipate? You know, it kind of gets a little bit hairy and crazy and too conspiracy theory-ish for me.
I do not foster peace between, this is the Iman guy. I do not foster peace between Israelis and Palestinians because Palestinians are represented by a terrorist body disguised as a government. I'm not a politician who will sit with a terrorist for the sake of the greater good. I will achieve peace by never shaking terrorist hands. And actually, the Palestinians had many chances over the years to sit down and to broker peace and to get East Jerusalem as their capital.
Right.
But they weren't happy with that. Let's see. It says, I want to get the one where he talks about Jesus being, I didn't ignore them. I said the Christians you're talking about are originally mainly converts from Judaism. When Jesus arrived to Jewish Jerusalem, their religion changes, not the religion of the land. This is according to Islamic law and history. Let's see. I'm trying to find the one where he just talks about Jesus being, born in Jerusalem as a Jewish. He says, secondly, the Palestinians you're referring to are not all peaceful people. They've been offered a state solution 5 times, but chose to remain in this situation, calling it an occupation. The Quran refers to the Jews as Israelites. Muslims should be honest, should be honest and follow the Quran. He says Muslim Palestinians deserve a homeland as humans who are Muslim because their Palestinian ancestors converted from Judaism and Christianity. If they convert, only their religion changes. The land remains Jewish land no matter what, and it will never be an Islamic state. Never.
And once again, if you're just joining us, that is from an imam, a Muslim imam, stating these facts.
It's good to know the facts. Palestine is Jewish land, and Jerusalem is the Jewish capital before Moses. Whether you recognize Israel as a state or not, Jesus arrived in Jerusalem to a Jewish nation, not Muslim. Muslim caliphates came centuries later to invade Palestine. Centuries later. Centuries. So I wanted to bring that up, and this is what I'm sorry, this one's funny to me. Islamic extremists are broke both intellectually and financially. Your mother will be raped by 100 virgin camels. Vile email threat sent to renegade Australian imam forced into hiding by Islamic extremists after they put a $5,000 bounty on his head.
Now, hang on, because we need to address the fact that somewhere there are camels that can rape people.
Virgin camels?
Virgin camels that can rape people. I mean, this is shocking. We should have led with that.
100.
Oh, my gosh. That requires camels aren't that
I'm just wondering what kind of God would do that as a punishment.
Yeah, I mean, a camel. I would think in order to rape a human, you would at least need, fingers, wrists, like a camel. Come on, people. I mean, seriously. This is fantastic. Oh, my gosh.
It's not even a joke.
All right, so hang on. Let me lay a foundation here for the moderators. Gary, good job on moderating, and Maia, you as well. There are going to be a lot of controversial comments on this subject. As long as, and we understand that our viewers are probably split down the middle, I would say, percentage-wise on this issue. So if anybody has a controversial view, you can leave it. If it starts on name calling or saying you're stupid, you're dumb, whatever, then that's fine. Go ahead and ban. But if just somebody wants to leave a contrary opinion, that's fine for the discussion. Okay? Because I understand that half of our viewers are not going to take the same viewpoint as us on this. And that's okay.
I'm happy about it, dude. I'm happy. I'm excited. The moment you realize the origin of the word Palestinian comes from the Hebrew word Philistine, which means invaders.
Unless it's a stereotype like all Jews are Satanists.
Oh, yeah, like all Jews are Satanists. Come on, guys. Let's be mature about this. You have to actually list some facts.
Jesus was a Jew?
Let's at least
Jesus is Jewish, Peter is Jewish, Paul Jewish,
right?
Matthew, Mark Jewish,
and then
John.
You get the Jew as a fairly new term. It is, but it isn't. It has its derivative in Judaism, okay, from the tribe of Judah, which Jesus Judea. Is the lion of the tribe of Judah.
We are Jewish. Once you become Christ,
we are grafted in because we are grafted in. To the Jesus is the line of the tribe of Judah.
If you're a Christian, just read the book of Hebrews, man. Just
Absolutely.
read it. It's all there.
Absolutely.
It's all there.
So here's I want to lay this down just real quick, because I knew that when we were going to cover this, it was going to become an issue, and I don't care, because I know that this is a good thing.
Do we not touch touchy subjects because they're sticky?
No, any subject, we're going to cover it, and you guys can get a feel for where Leah and I stand on these issues. If you want to come at us with the argument where they aren't actually real Jewish people, we can discuss that conspiracy theory to the side. Anything else, we're going to bring you back to the Word of God, which says at the end, all of God's people have a choice. And in the end, guess what? Excuse me. God is victorious, and he brings his original children back into him through Jesus Christ. That's the end of the book. That's the end of the story. That is the victory. Okay? So whether you choose to believe it or not, this is the story of the prodigal son. Okay? The Jewish people are the prodigal son. They have gone the wayward way. So we and actually we're grafted in, so we're not even like blood, right? You guys have to go and read your Bible to get this. All right? So anyway, at the end of the book, the prodigal son comes back. And so we should be waiting and eagerly praying for that to happen. All right? So that's where Leah and I stand on that. You love and you make sure that you don't allow them to do anything wrong in the process. There are evil Jewish people out there that are doing very bad things. Leah and I stand against it 100% of the time. Okay, sorry, the dogs are wandering around. But by and large, we have to look at the children of Israel and say, you are God's people, and you're never going to... Here's the thing. It is our job as Christians to bring them back to God. And you're never going to do that if you're calling names and being hateful and saying, look at all that you are doing. The only way that you're going to do that is by reminding them of who they are. You are a child of God. We are grafted in. The only way that you or I are going to get to the Father is through Jesus Christ. And that's it. It's that simple. So it's our privilege. I count it a privilege for us to be able to minister to the actual chosen people of God.
Yeah, so I'm going to play a piece of this. This is we're a Jewish... There's a whole set of IMetTheMessiah.com.
Yeah.
And they don't actually start to live like Christians, like we're Christians. They become Messianic Jews, a lot of them.
Need to do. You've got to first shave your head. You dress all in black. You've got to wear a white robe. Eat only kosher foods. You've got to become a vegetarian. You face Jerusalem. You've got to face India when you pray. You pray only in Hebrew, and you grow a nice big beard. And if you do all of those outward cultural things, you'll discover the God of the universe. And I'm thinking, this is crazy that someone thinks that they can force their culture on God, and that God's going to be impressed by what you wear, what direction you face when you pray, what you eat, and all these sorts of things. It seemed to me that if there was a God out there who could be known, he should be able to be recognized no matter where I face, no matter how I'm dressed, because he's God. Growing up, we always understood that we had our Bible and the Gentiles had their Bible, the New Testament, and that they were two completely separate books. Because the only people I knew who were believers in Jesus were all people in our public school who were Italian Catholic, I imagined that Jesus was Italian. And so the understanding that he's actually Jewish was a shock.
He didn't
and
even
then,
know.
To hear that the New Testament was written by Jews, I couldn't believe it. My expectation was that the New Testament was like my grandparents had told me. It was a book on how to persecute the Jews, and it's something you should stay away from. Of course, when you're told you should stay away from something, curiosity gets the best of you, and you've got to see it. When I opened the New Testament, I was expecting to find a handbook on how to persecute the Jews. My grandparents had warned me that it was written by people who killed the Jews. That's what I was expecting to see, and yet when I'm opening it, I'm reading a story written by Jews about Jewish people. The New Testament was a fascinating book. And so as I opened this book in the library, I kind of looked around made sure that none of my friends had seen me taking a Christian Bible off the shelf. And I open it. Here's the first sentence. It says, "This is the genealogy of Jesus the Messiah, the son of David, the son of Abraham." So three people are mentioned.
I literally have goosebumps.
Jewish. I was very shocked. And as I continued to read, I'm reading the story of a Jewish man who was born in a Jewish village, in a Jewish country, and one day walks into a synagogue and announces that he is the Messiah. The more
now, if you've ever read any of the extra biblical Jewish books, you'll know that they're kind of into different kind of stories.
Yeah, they are.
So this is kind of, it's not off the beaten track for them, is what I'm saying.
Correct.
I read the words of Jesus, the more I became attracted to him. It was as beautiful as anything I had ever read in any other part of the Bible. As I came to faith that Yeshua, that Jesus was the Messiah, it was clear that that was the most Jewish thing I could do. This is not a person who's a renegade to our people. This is the one who was promised in our Bible, the 53rd chapter of Isaiah.
They're not really allowed to.
They're not allowed to read it.
If you would just read that chapter, just without the Bible being around it, you would say, "Oh, this is some Christian Bible. This is Jesus." When you realize, though, that it's in the middle of our Bible, our Jewish Bible. When I first came to faith, I dared not tell my father, because this is a time period in the 1970s when there were lots of gurus and cults, and he was very concerned about me getting involved in some crazy sect and going off someplace. So I waited for months, and when I finally told him, he was very skeptical. On his own then, he started to read about Jesus as well. About a year and a half later, I told him that the fellow who wrote one of the books that he had read, that this fellow was giving a lecture in the city of New York. And he agreed to come out to hear that person. And one of the most amazing moments of my life was the speaker said, "Would everyone here who is a Jewish believer in Jesus, would you raise your hand?" And I raised my hand. My father also raised his hand. And I looked over and I said, "Pop," he didn't say would all the Jews raise their hand. He said, "Would all the Jewish believers in Jesus raise their hand?" And my father looked over and he said, "Yes, I heard what he said." The decision to come to faith in Jesus as the Messiah was not something that was a momentary lark. It wasn't something that was a passing fad. And I could see changes in myself that I knew were not from within myself. I had kind of tapped in to a truth for our Jewish people that was very powerful.
So here's the thing, guys. I want to unpoliticize this for 1 second. I want you to forget everything that we were just talking about, aside from what I had just mentioned. There is nothing that should be more exciting to a Christian than watching a Jewish person who has their heritage and their lineage all the way back to the original tribes of Israel come to the saving knowledge of Jesus Christ. There is nothing more powerful. When you read the Old Testament and you listen to God's heart break over and over and over again, because all he wants is for this people that he has chosen to love and worship and honor and obey him. And over and over and over again, because they don't have Jesus Christ, because they don't have the Holy Spirit, you and I would be in the exact same boat. They fail. They cannot do it. You have to have the Holy Spirit. You have to have Jesus Christ. And so God does the most merciful thing that any father can do. He sacrificed his only son and sends this son down to these people, okay? And he is able to save many of them. But many of them can't do it. There's too much religion. There's too much indoctrination. They literally can't. And so God says, you know what? I will give it to the Gentiles. That's you and I. But the book, when you read God's heart for how much he loves, I mean, you just have to take it like the prostitute. You were like a child. You were naked. You were cold. You were just a mess. And he takes this people and he clothes them and he gives them jewels. And she still goes away like a harlot. Okay? That's heartbreaking. It's the most heartbreaking love story you will ever read. So I have to tell you, the end of the book is that God is reunited with that people. And I have to tell you, unless you're Jewish on our channel, we're not that people. I don't care how you want to divide it. We're not them. We are the vine that is grafted in, and it's a beautiful thing, but we're not it. And so when I look at a man like that, my heart is so excited for the heart of the Father that another one of his chosen people came back and received the most amazing gift in his son that he sent for them.
I want to tell a little quick story because we took a 3,000-mile bike trip, and we ended up at a little camping spot outside of Washington, D.C., and we were stuck there for a day or two. We tried to wash our clothes, and we were waiting to try to get a hold of somebody. We had a phone number of somebody we could stay with, and they just weren't answering the call. So we were just like, where are we going to stay? We wanted to stay. We wanted to go and visit Washington, D.C. while we were there. And
right.
We were camping at this campground. It happened to be a campground where people from the city would come in. And it was too far for us to bicycle out to get food. And we were down to like a packet of ramen noodles. We were just starving. We were so hungry. And there was a man and his son, and they were Jewish.
They drove
from
into
Israel,
the park.
And they drove in just to have a fire and to roast potatoes.
Sweet potatoes.
In a fire.
Giant sweet potatoes.
And they came over and we started talking to them, and we were, Israel's God's chosen people, and they weren't really religiously Jewish. He's like, well, that's really strange for you to say that because we don't get that a lot, that most people, kind of anti-Jew, anti-Israel. And we just started talking. We had this great conversation. It was really anointed. And when they left, he's like, the father and the son, I think it was his son's idea, I don't know. They talked about it because they came there to roast their little potatoes. And they're like, we want to give our potatoes to you. Because we can go,
didn't even eat their potatoes.
We can go home and eat, and you look hungry. And so that if you're naked, I fed you. If you've given food unto me, it's somebody who's hungry, you've given unto me.
Right.
And so here are these Jewish people who gave food unto us. We have Jewish friends who have open up their heart to us, like really good, like
we
really
have
good
a cross hanging on the wall from our Jewish friends that went to visit Jerusalem,
Israel, yeah,
and
brought us back across.
Went to all the holy sites.
They
went to Jesus' holy sites.
Sand from where Jesus was baptized.
Yeah, I mean, seriously, it's an amazing, beautiful moment when we have the opportunity to befriend people that are God's chosen people, and we believe that one day they will come to Christ.
Right,
and that's
so
the ultimate
I want to
goal.
play a piece of this. This is called the Forbidden Chapter, Isaiah 53, and Jewish people don't really put two and two together until this video. There's a chapter in this book, the Tanakh, the Hebrew Bible, that used to be read in synagogues in the past. But later the rabbis decided to take it out of the half and stop reading it. Today it's considered the forbidden chapter. Have you ever heard about it? He says, I've never heard about it. Do you want to see what's in this hidden chapter? Do you have it? I have it here in the Tanakh. I would like to know as much as possible. That's why we're putting on this program, actually. Because most Jewish people have never read this chapter since it's not read anymore in the synagogue. The chapter is Isaiah 53, a very important prophecy about who the Messiah would be. For 1,700 years after Isaiah wrote it, virtually all the rabbis and the sages believed the chapter was speaking about the Messiah. This has been edited because to wipe out people's faces. Also the Talmud and the Sanhedrin 98, the Yalkut, Shemino, and the Zahor. Shimoni, sorry. Rambam and the others believe this chapter was speaking about the Messiah. So now we've come to the fun part, and we'll read some of the verses from this chapter, and then we'll see what it says.
This is so powerful.
He is despised and rejected by men, a man of sorrows and acquainted with grief. And we hid, as it were, our faces from him. He was despised, and we did not accept him. I think this was it. He is speaking about the Messiah. This is speaking about the Messiah. That's really powerful. It's written that he will be a man who is despised and rejected by society. Our people were convinced that he was a bad person. I don't know why. They didn't accept him. They rejected him. We didn't think that he was the Messiah. Surely he has borne our griefs and carried our sorrows. Yet we esteemed him stricken, smitten by God, and afflicted. He took all of the pain, all the suffering, and all the diseases upon himself, and in spite of that, they rejected him. He did good to us, and basically we repaid him with evil. He suffered because of us, basically because of our transgressions that we commit. He suffered that pain. He gave of himself for us, suffered for us, took our diseases and all of our sins upon himself. By oppression and judgment he was taken away. And who will declare this generation? For he was cut off from the land of the living. For the transgressions of my people he was stricken, and they made his grave with the wicked, but with the rich at his death, because he had done no violence, nor was there any deceit in his mouth. In verse 12 it says, because he poured out his soul unto death. What is the final result of his suffering? He died. He died. He will die with the rich. What fun. I also want to. So basically, they blamed him for things he didn't do, and he was punished for it. Interesting. He died, but not an honorable death. First of all, have you heard about the Messiah, that all these things would happen to him? Nope. This description of the Messiah is found not only in these verses, but also in Zechariah and Daniel and in other places. And also the ancient rabbis understood that the Messiah was supposed to suffer. But he was wounded for our transgressions, he was bruised for our iniquities. The chastisement of our peace was upon him, and by his stripes we are healed. All we like sheep have gone astray, we have turned every one to his own way, and the Lord has laid on him the iniquity of us all. I got it. According to the verses, he will absorb our sicknesses and evil, and that will heal us. He will basically be a person who is punished. He will take upon himself all of the... Okay. He takes all our iniquities, all our griefs, and everything we went through. He took everything upon himself. All of our sins, all the evil we've done, this heavy punishment was placed upon one man. So each one of us needs to ask, is there sin in my life? Have you ever stolen something, even something small? Have you ever downloaded something from the internet that didn't belong to you? Wasn't. Have you ever lied? Yes, of course. I have too. I'm not innocent in that regard. Have you ever coveted? Yes, definitely. I'm a big sinner. So according to the Tanakh, all our evil thoughts and attitudes, like selfishness and pride and other things, are also considered sin. So for example, we were to display all of your thoughts on the screen. Everyone knows you were you.
Would you see only good thoughts, or also some not so good ones? I can read. Good. You'd see some evil thoughts. Everyone, even the most righteous person, has evil thoughts in his head. There have been some thoughts that I've said, if those would disappear, it'd be good. God is totally holy and pure, and he can't be in the presence of sin. So basically, our sin separates us from him, and we ultimately deserve punishment. Ezekiel 18:4 says that punishment we deserve is death. Ultimately, separation from God forever, Daniel 12:2. I don't want that. So ultimately, do you think that you need forgiveness and atonement for your sins or not? Definitely, yes. I do too. Actually, everyone does. There's no one who doesn't.
But there's also good news, because God isn't just a judge, he's also a father that loves us. Because of that, he gave us the sacrificial system in the Torah. The sacrifice would take upon itself the sins of the people. It's written that the sacrifice would cease, and that instead of the sacrifices, God would send a man called the Messiah, and he would take upon him all the sins. Exactly, that's just what we read. In the Tanakh, God gave us very specific description of the Messiah would be, so that we could identify him and not miss him. And of course, it's critical that we would know who this person is, because without him, we have no atonement and forgiveness. He's the one who would take away our sins. Daniel 9 says that he had to come before the destruction of the second temple. That happened in 70 AD, so the Messiah had to come before that, according to the Tanakh. Micah 5 said that the Messiah would be born in Bethlehem. Also, Isaiah 53, that we just read now, says that our people would reject him at the beginning and that he would suffer and die. It says in the next verses that after he would die, he would rise from the dead. It also says that many Gentiles would receive him and would come to know the God of Israel because of him, Isaiah 49. And now, based on those descriptions from the Tanakh, is there anyone in history who has fulfilled these things? I don't know. I don't know of someone. Do you? Is there someone who's fulfilled this? Nope, not that I know of. Maybe there is someone and you'll tell me now and I'll say, oh yes, but no one comes to mind. Jesus? Listen, I need to mention again that I don't believe in him at all. But based on the stories and everything I've heard, yes, it fits Yeshua, Jesus. Though he was a great man, they considered him an unworthy man. Even though he did do good deeds, they portrayed him as doing the exact opposite. Look, I believe that Yeshua, who came before the destruction of the second temple, fulfilled these things precisely. He came before AD 70. He was born in Jerusalem, Bethlehem. Our people rejected him, and he suffered and died, and he rose from the dead. There were 500 Jewish people who saw him alive after he died, and they wrote about him. And of course, many Gentiles received him, even billions.
Look how excited he is.
And the Messiah said, I will take that upon myself. All the suffering and the punishment that you deserved, I will take it upon myself. But in order for us to receive that gift, there are several things we have to do. Confess our sins, repent of them, commit not to do them anymore, and also believe in the Messiah and transfer our sins to him. Only if we believe in this Messiah and receive him into our life will he then take our sins away and upon himself. I think I haven't heard these things because when the conversation turns to Yeshua, there's already some kind of barrier where people don't even want to think about him. Don't want to open up their minds or think about it a bit. People look at him like, just like that verse said, they've rejected him.
Okay, now, is that the end of it?
Over 500,000 Jews have found our Messiah.
This is one of the most powerful kind of little documentaries or whatever you want to call it that I have ever watched in my life.
Right.
Okay. It has stuck with me. Mm-hmm. I'm always telling people about it. I don't know why we haven't really brought it up too much on Resistance Chicks, but this is the first time that we've ever just sat through it with you guys. Right. And I'm really glad that this is the moment in which we have done it, because I really am asking you guys, as our viewers who are Christian. For the rest of you, you can just sit and listen. But for those of you that are Christian, I want you to go with me here. And you have to look at the prophecies. You have to look at what Jesus says over and over and over again. We find throughout the Word of God that, in all honesty, and this is a hard pill for those of us that are Christians and grafted in to swallow, but we are not a part of that original tree. And they are. They really, really are. And there are prophecies that talk about it's not just prophecies. This is the whole thing. Listen, guys, come on. Follow me. The Bible is a book. It starts at the beginning. We haven't quite gotten to the end, but it starts with a people who through sin reject God. And then God's like, all right, so I'm going to choose a chosen people to be especially for me. And even they cannot come to God. And so then God sends Jesus Christ. But at the end of the book, after a father who loves these children more than anything in the whole world, he doesn't just lose them. It literally talks in the end about how a lot of you guys think that we're in the end days, that we're in the last times. I don't believe that we are, but if for those of you that do, you got to understand that that means that we are about to see a massive amount of Jewish people come back to God. That is predicted in prophecy. It has to happen, and it is so exciting. All right. So I want you guys to be excited about that alone. We can talk about politics separately, but when I see this movement that's happening, I may not know exactly what it means, but to me, in my spirit, it says that this is a very good thing. And I know that we're going to have a lot of our viewers that disagree with us. And that's okay. Go ahead and leave your comments in the chat and in the description. But I have to tell you, what I want you to focus on more than your anger, more than your prejudice, more than your hatred, more than your views of how you think that prophecy is supposed to play out. And realize that if you do not see the heart of the Father and him wanting his original chosen people to come back to him, if you don't see that, then you don't know Jesus and you don't know God. That is the ultimate heart of the Father. And yes, we are all his chosen people. Now we get to be grafted in, and that's a beautiful thing. But the only reason that we as Christians are able to be part of God's chosen people is because we get to join with the actual chosen people.
It's just a river coming back.
All right. So I think that's it for preaching. The end.
Amen. So on the opposite side of the spectrum, we have a terror plot foiled against Theresa May. Now, last week we covered Donald Trump retweeting Ann Coulter, who retweeted Jada Franson, and the whole world blew up because of Islamophobia. So my question is, if Ann Coulter had retweeted Jada Franson about this story and Donald Trump had retweeted it about Theresa May almost being killed by Muslim terrorists,
yes,
would he still be spreading Islamophobia?
Good question. I don't know. Patriot Gallery, I'm guessing you want to go back to the subject we were just talking about.
Is Theresa May spreading Islamophobia?
Hang on. We're going to pause that subject 1 second because Patriot Gallery is on a 30-second leg with the videos.
Explain what a stereotype is. When you group everybody as white racists, white supremacists, all Jews are evil. You can't group people. Now, when it comes to Islam, you can say the Islam faith teaches that all men should die except for those who are Islam. So you can say Islam is a teaching that teaches all people should die except for them.
Or convert and pay money.
But stereotypes. What's the stereotype?
Right. So we're reading from the Quran. So, yeah, you can't stereotype people, but you can say this is what communism means, this is what Judaism means, this is what, this is what they're saying they mean.
Right. Exactly. So we go back to this is the way I can break it down for you guys. We don't go to all of these extra books that came after.
Right.
Okay. We look at the actual Old Testament.
Everything before Jesus that you've got,
Genesis through Malachi.
Genesis through Malachi, yeah.
So here's the thing. That is the Jewish faith. That is what we consider. So when you want to group other Jews together or whatever,
we can tear apart to pieces all the extra stuff that they wrote.
Right.
We tear it apart. Tear it apart.
Why
just
not?
Like you would Islam.
But I want you guys to realize that what we just watched, that those are real people that were kept from Isaiah 53. So before you go casting that first stone towards your Jewish cousins, you need to realize that the truth has been kept and hidden from them. And once they know the truth and they still deny Jesus Christ, then that's fine. They've denied him. But the vast amount of Jewish people are kept under lock and key.
If their idea of Christianity is what they see through Christians, it's not going to draw a whole lot of
True
them.
story.
Especially if people don't.
And I want to say a good welcome to So What, who has joined the chat.
Hello, So What.
It's very early in the morning.
We're going to talk about the illegals. All right. So, a man has been charged with planning to use an improvised explosive device to blow up the gates of Downing Street before entering number 10 and making an attempt on Theresa May's life.
Wow.
Namir Zakaria Rahman doesn't sound exactly intrinsically British, now does it? 20, allegedly planned to launch a bomb attack on the security gates outside Downing Street before detonating a suicide vest in number 10 in a bid to kill Theresa May. What if he had, though? What would have happened?
I don't know. I was sent an article earlier. I don't remember if it was Britt Baza or Justin Hughes, that they're really kind of pushing for Jacob Rees-Mogg to take the place of Theresa May. So if she was just kind of knocked out, then he might obviously slip right in. I don't know. I don't know what would happen.
Rahman has been charged with preparing acts of terrorism and will appear in court alongside Mohammed Iqib Imran, 21, who is accused of trying to join the Islamic State. Rahman of North London and Imran of Southeast Birmingham, is that where they were born and bred, were arrested by officers from the Met's Counterterrorism Command on Tuesday, November 28th. Both men appeared at Westminster Magistrates Court on Wednesday and were remained in custody. Details of the alleged plot were set out to the cabinet members on Tuesday during a briefing by Andrew Parker, the head of MI5. Mr. Parker revealed that British intelligence had foiled 9 terror plots in the past 12 months.
But there's really no threat.
No need for Islamophobia. I just don't want to get their panties in a wad. The disclosures about the charges came just hours after an official report in the Manchester terror attack revealed that the suicide bomber had been flagged for closer security. However, the police in Britain, I know their wages are being slashed. They can barely make rent. They can barely put food on the table.
Running Out of Air says, I'm seeing a Bond scene right now.
By security services, and that the atrocity could have been averted had the cards fallen differently. Had we just, kept a better eye on these 23,000 terrorists we have in our country.
That.
MI5 investigators misinterpreted intelligence on Salman al-Bidi earlier this year, and it was disclosed his case was due to be discussed at a meeting scheduled for 9 days after the May attack at the Manchester Arena. Internal reviews into the police and MI5's handling of the 4 terrorist attacks in Britain this year also revealed one of the London Bridge attackers had been under active investigation by the security service.
You don't say.
No, you don't say. The Westminster Bridge attacker, Khalid Massoud, had also watched suicide attack videos on YouTube in the days before he carried out his assault. David Anderson, QC, a former terrorism law reviewer asked by the Home Security to independently check the secret internal reviews, said that there were no cause for despair and that most attack plots continue to be broken up. Don't worry, we have it all under control.
Correct,
yes. In response to a 61-page report, Amber Rood, the Home Secretary, said the blame for the attack lies squarely with the terrorists and not with Islam, I'm sure. Reviews found that 22-year-old al-Bidi had previously been a MI5 suspect, but was not under active investigation when he blew himself up in the crowd of the Ariana Grande concert. In advance of the attack, officers had on 2 separate occasions received unspecified intelligence on him whose significance was not fully appreciated at the time, and which could have led to his case being reopened. In retrospect, the intelligence can be seen to have been highly relevant to the planned attack. Mr. Anderson concluded that while it was unknowable if reopening the investigation would have thwarted al-Bidi, it was conceivable that the Manchester attack in particular might have been averted had the cards fallen differently. Between March and June, London and Manchester experienced 4 attacks, killing a total of 36 people and wounding another 200. But don't worry, you'll be fine. Al-Bidi has first become an MI5 subject of interest in 2014, but it transpired that he had been mistaken for someone else, and his case was closed. It was reopened the following year on mistaken intelligence that he had contacted the Islamic State in Libya. But though his case remained closed from that point, Al-Bidi continued to be referenced from time to time in intelligence gathered for other purposes. In 2 separate instances before the attack, intelligence was received that was assessed at the time to relate not to terrorism, but to possible non-nefarious activity or to criminality. So you have this timeline. An automated troll of suspects' data designed to spot closed cases that may need re-examining identified him as one of fewer than 100 individuals out of a total of more than 20,000 closed subjects of interest who merited further examination. So the 20,000, they're good. They want to hurt people. They want to kill people, but we don't think they're actually going to do it.
But it says that those guys merited further.
Yes, we think they're actually going to do something.
Yes.
So the meeting arranged before the attack was due to take place on May 31st. Salman al-Bidi's case would have been considered together with the others identified. The attack intervened on May 22nd. Mr. Anderson said, with the benefit of hindsight, intelligence was misinterpreted. And it goes on and on and on, and wish we could have done things differently. So Theresa May is still standing, barely, after an attack was thwarted. Thoughts, anyone? Thoughts? Do you have thoughts? Does anyone have thoughts?
I don't know. I think everybody's still stuck on the previous subject, and they want us to take phone calls. Here's the thing, guys. If we could take phone calls, we would. I don't even know how we would set that up in order to do that. That's kind of a little bit beyond what we can do at this point.
You would need a telephone screener.
Yeah,
and I
they
don't
have
think
that.
We're set up for
when I call into like Nigel, they screen me first. You know what I mean? What are you gonna say? I think I have like a little star because I've called twice, and the third time that I called, they were gonna put me through, but they ran out of time.
Hello,
and she was, as soon as she answered, "Hello, Michelle," I must have been in there like, "Yes, you're allowed to go through. You've been approved." I want to hit something really, really quickly. Before we go in, because I am reading the comments, and I want you guys to know that I take your comments very, very seriously. But I want to, at Resistance Chick, since you guys love to watch our show, to at least do you the favor of explaining why we believe the way that we do. You can believe whatever you guys want to, but I do find that what I get from the anti-Jew people is a lot of violence.
Hatred
and a lot of hatred in your heart. And so I'm not going to, because if you were following the Holy Spirit, I think you would be able to say the things that you're saying in a logical, calm manner without being so hateful. And so when you kind of throw out the hate and the anger, I just kind of dismiss you because I know you're not walking in the power of God.
I don't have a problem talking about things because we're not all going to agree on things.
Right. But I want to say it to you this way. There are evil Jews. Can you at least follow me once I've said that? Hang on, Patriot Gallery. There are evil Jews, right? Okay, so we're having a discussion now that I've said that. They are evil. They are trying to take over the world. I get that. I'm with you. That does not represent most Jewish people. Okay?
It represents a Jewish elite.
Right. So here's what we have. We have kind of the equivalent of those Jews that killed Jesus, right? Very evil people. Jesus called them brood of vipers, snakes, whatever. Bad, mamma jammas.
Where I go, you can't go. You're of your father, the devil.
Then we have Jesus. We have his disciples. We have all of the people that he performed miracles with.
And for the leopards,
we have the 500
women caught in adultery.
We have the tongues of fire coming down
on all Jews and Jews.
These are all Jewish people. And if I follow your logic, okay, that all Jews are evil, those people never should have had the opportunity to have the gospel preached to them first. He came first.
Jesus should never have come to Jewish people.
He should have just gone straight to the Gentiles because he knew that they were going to reject him. Then we have Paul. Let's take Paul for an example. He even stoned people. I mean, he was presiding. He hated Jesus. And yet he came to him and wrote 2/3 of the New Testament as a Jew and former scribe, okay, or Pharisee. He was the Pharisee of Pharisees, he said. All right, very, very evil. And he still came to Jesus.
Reminds me of Abby Johnson, who was a Planned Parenthood director.
Yeah.
Who now is the strongest voice that I know of for pro-life right now.
Paul had not had the revelation of Jesus Christ come to him.
And when he did, he suffered a lot.
So if we should not preach, if we should not hope for, if we should not want the original, you say that they've rejected Jesus. But these people that we just watched, I don't know how you can watch that video and say that they knew about Jesus Christ and rejected him.
I had friends in high school who were Messianic Jews.
They did not know about Jesus. The gospel of Jesus Christ has not been preached to all Jews. That may come as a surprise to you. But what you're saying to me is the equivalent of saying anybody in China that's not a Christian is evil and should be rejected. And they are world power trying to just generalize all Chinese people because their country is communist and you can't be a Christian there.
There were Jews who financed the Holocaust, especially American Jews who turned their back on Jewish people.
So there's evil Jews, and then there are people that are going to come to the saving knowledge of Jesus Christ that are Jewish.
The Bolshevik Revolution.
Right. So what I want you guys to do is understand that those of you that have this hate and anger lack the spirit of love, lack the spirit of grace, and lack the Holy Spirit.
And you've obviously never read the New Testament, so you're not even... I'm
going to drop a link in the description and in the chat right now. And I want you guys that are in the chat with us to take it. And I did a video on this explaining, I wrote a parable explaining
Paul said,
just how
my heart breaks. I want my people to come to know Jesus.
Yes. So we should still want those people to come to know Jesus. So the hatred that you have in your heart, I have to tell you, does not represent the Father. So let's start at least with that. If we want to address the evil Jews, we will address them. The Illuminati, you got it. All right. The fact that there will be evil Jews in the end, you got it. But you have to address all of the other ones that are supposed to be and are prophesied that they're going to come back to Jesus Christ. You can either be a part of that and be hopeful and be prayerful about it, or you can be on the outside as some sort of hate monger that doesn't represent the heart of the Father. Your choice. So I'm going to drop that link in the chat. All right, Patriot Gallery.
The microphone?
The microphone. She would lag the microphone.
Well, okay. First of all, we know that Rothschild started Israel, and it was a plan. And we know all that. But we also know in 1913 that there's a creature, Jekyll Isle, and we know most of the things America has came from very bad, evil people. Everybody's taking a red pill now, and Jewish people are taking a red pill too.
Yeah.
They know that there are people in their government like the Mossad that were bad.
Yep.
We know in America there are bad people in America, the CIA,
right,
who've been taking down countries right, left, and right. Now we all have one enemy, and it's not Jewish people or Russia. You know, our enemy is the globalist, elitist, and they are using the Islamic State like puppets on a string, telling them go out and dominate the world.
Right.
And so all of us as human beings without leaders, just individual people in our homes, in our apartments, in our different countries, we have to stand against Islam and against the globalists and the elitists and our different spy agencies like the CIA, the M16, M15, the UK, and of course Mossad. There are evil people in all our countries. And we're not going to go around erasing everybody's borders right now. We need to deal with one enemy, and everybody with a red pill, we'll just overthrow them because there's more of us than there are of them.
Very good. All right, so I'm hoping that has kind of semi-settled it. I don't think so, because you guys are very, very strongly opinionated on this. But we are too. My strong opinion is that Jesus Christ came for God's chosen people first, and us second. We're grafted in, and thank God we get to be grafted in. And my heart goes out to God's chosen people and to God the Father, who doesn't have a lot of these people that are supposed to be with him through Jesus Christ. So, all right. Moving on. We're done with that. All right. Hopefully you guys can be done with that in the chat too, because I don't even want to read any more about it. You can put it in the comment section afterwards. Everybody to read.
I want to go on to something funny to me because
okay, good.
I'm not an Olympian. This would actually really bother me.
You were going to be an Olympian.
If I was one. This particular weight class of females, they are just beasts.
They're beasts?
Yeah, they're just beasts. But anyways, this guy here was a weightlifter, a world-class weightlifter. And he decided that he wanted to be a girl.
Great.
From New Zealand. He's from New Zealand. And he has been... What they do, they say that your testosterone levels have to be at a certain level, which is absolutely ridiculous because there's stuff that goes on in your mind.
Yeah.
There's already bone structure built muscles and tendons that are built.
Yes.
Your height.
Yes.
And all these things give you an unfair advantage, things that happen as a male. An example being, when we castrate our pigs as piglets,
yes,
they don't grow as quickly or as big.
Right.
And they're not quite as aggressive as the big the uncastrated males.
Correct.
So we have Malachi out there.
Yeah.
And he is giant.
He's a
huge,
beast.
right?
Yes.
His body's bigger, his musculature is bigger, his bone structure's bigger.
Yes.
Right? At even like at the same age as our other Jeremy and Nehemiah. We have their names the other ones. Almost double the size. And if you had castrate Malachi now, which you can, he's not going to lose the bone structure. He's not even going to lose much size. You know? He's not going to really lose any weight. He might lose some muscle a little bit, but he's going to be the same. The same thing with dudes. So this is what gets me here is they're trying to ban. This is a dude, by the way. This is not a girl. Look at this face. It's just, that is a dude. Look, he's a dude.
That's a dude.
He's not masquerading as a girl. No, he's a dude. He's masquerading. And they are banning Russia from the Olympics for some a doping scandal.
Yes, they are, because, doping gives you an unfair advantage.
Right?
Yes.
So then you have this guy here who they're allowing transgenders, and it says he's now calling his name was Gavin Hubbard, now calling himself Laurel, bumped 2 women from their Olympic weightlifting qualifying spots.
Oh my gosh!
After he decided to compete in the women's category. Hubbard is the son of serial magnate and former Auckland Mayor Dick Hubbard, best known for his position against allowing gay people to marry or raise their own biological children. Gavin Laurel Hubbard, 39, was a one-time nationally ranked weightlifter in his 20s, but he failed to make his mark competing against other males.
Oh, wow.
He remained active in the sport, funding various events and serving as the executive officer of the Olympic Wrestling of New Zealand until his position was eliminated. Hubbard responded to the loss of his authority by funding a new state-of-the-art weightlifting facility to host and sponsor the competition himself. Then his facility then authorized the women's competition that Hubbard won on Sunday, March 19th. And his facility cited IOC guidelines for transgenderism, which allow any male who can prove his testosterone levels are below a certain level for
your
1 year.
Testosterone levels don't actually change your bone and musculature structure.
Right. To compete in the women's division, any female can compete in the male category if she qualifies, regardless of her hormone levels. No female athlete has ever qualified to compete against males ever.
Was his last name Hubbard?
Mm-hmm.
They said, is L. Ron Hubbard any relative?
I don't know. So when it became known that Hubbard intended to destroy the ranking of female New Zealand Olympian Tracy Lambach's Rio 2016 by competing as a male in the women's 90-plus category, Miss Lambach immediately set her sights on competing against other women by the only means left available to her, qualifying in another weight category away from men. This evolved rapidly, losing 38 pounds in order to compete in the nearest woman-only class. It was a big shock. At first I was quite angry and then confused and upset. I was taken back when it first happened and had control of anything around me. So she gets kicked out. He's in. And
the phrase pick on somebody your own size comes to mind here. If you can't compete against the men and you feel like you have to compete against the women and somehow that makes you stronger or it proves something, all it proves is that you're stronger than a woman.
Just embarrassing.
I don't know.
Speaking of being stronger than a woman, this is embarrassing. Okay, now please take all your children out of the room, even though this is a video comprised completely of children. It's called pussyscouts.com, and I am convinced that it is a money-making scheme.
This cannot be a real thing.
I'm not going to censor this. It's just going to play, and you know what? It's up on YouTube.
Okay, so hang on a second. Any children in the room, if you're a parent, your children are listening, you're just not allowed to watch this next section. You can just mute it. Okay.
But these are children, and they kind of try to do the The cat ears, they giggle when they say that the pussy hats are cat ears. They're not. It is representation of female genitalia. So to have children say the most vulgar term for female genitalia.
I had no idea. I did not know this was coming in the news. I'm in the same boat as you guys are, but seriously, if you've got...
But this, to me, is child pornography.
Okay.
That we keep seeing over and over again on YouTube.
Lovely. I'm not excited about this.
Oh, Scouts! Oh, Scouts! Ready for your song about President Trump?
Ready to be jumping to beat that sick. We're gonna rap about a president, sexist. You call women fat pigs, show no respect. Try to grab my pussy, you're gonna get wrecked. Planned Parenthood, health care, and it didn't work. Fuck me, you fucked up hair. You said it, ladies, you gotta treat it like shit. Choose rapist, sex, assault culprit. I take away a woman's abortion right. Let me explain this war rape. I'll take it down in a fight. Like Princess Leia choked out Jabba the Hutt. The women's march showed women's mouth can't be shut. Super talent, fraudster, racist, sexist, not my opponent. Yeah, bullshit, racist, Muslim man. You love the Nazis and the Ku Klux Klan. Walk up an immigrants that you hate and berate. Is racist ignorance, don't make America great. Pussy Scouts starts with backwards side. Our future boss bitches, and we drop the mic.
PussyScouts.com. The pussy hat emerged in the Women's March as a powerful symbol of the fight for equality. Get your hat or get involved with the cause and get a shirt. Girls just want to have fun to mental rights. This is what a feminist looks like. PussyScouts.com.
We're future boss.
You are calling this child abuse, right?
I have already posted this. This is child porn. This is child abuse. This is child molestation.
I need to, this can't be a thing. Mm-hmm. The parents that allowed their children to participate in this should be thrown in jail.
Absolutely. Absolutely. This is child porn. To have a child say that word over and over again. And then the fact that they have been glorifying this word over and over and over again. Now, I want to show you this. Don't snatch a woman's abortion rights. Don't be a sexist blank like Trump. And then they use this old woman here with a giant whatever.
We're done.
And at the very end, they do one that says...
Look, I'm not even watching. Leah's showing this for those of you. I'm just not even.
This one is at the very end. It's a transgender
idea.
Female. She takes all of her clothes off and shows that she doesn't even have a thing, but she's transgendered into a male.
Right.
And she's had all these male privileges lately. And I knew she was transgender when she took off her shirt because them aren't real.
All right, so here's the thing. I want to address something, even though I find this very shocking. I don't like that Leah played it, but I'm not. I'm not. A lot of people are like, so why are you showing this? Why are you playing it? Yada, yada, yada. Listen.
If you don't know how bad the leftists are.
Thank you. Sometimes it takes actually throwing their own throw up back on them for them to realize. Because here's the thing, guys.
They did this to children. I don't have the ability to blur out their faces. I just have to show you to let people know.
Unfortunately.
This is child abuse.
For those of you that this is a family-friendly show, and so for those of you that don't appreciate this is awful, you don't want to have to see it. You at least have to recognize that there are people out there that are so lost and so blue-pilled and so brainwashed that it will take something like watching this as a sound-minded person and going, hang on a minute, maybe I'm on the wrong side of this issue.
Here's the thing. This isn't the first video that these people have made. And I actually flagged a video, and I don't even know how it's still up, because they took down and flagged that Polish video that we watched the other day.
Right.
They called it extremist content. Okay? And I'm not sure if this one, it should be in my history, because the makers of that video were the same ones who, let's see, where's my history? Were you having a hard time finding it last time too?
What?
Your history it's not
it should just be
right
there.
Not coming up.
All right, so
okay,
somebody had said, so just mention it and not show it. I have to tell you, to be perfectly honest, if you had just mentioned this to me, it would not have been as powerful. There are people that are so brainwashed and they are so in their own little bubble. You could say it to them until you are blue in the face.
So
it's not going to sink in.
Like if there's a video of a woman like taking her child by her hair and dragging her across Walmart, right? And you say there's a video, right? Or what do? They actually show the jury. They would show the jury the video.
Right.
So you're the jury.
Yes.
And I'm showing you the video of a crime that is committed.
Correct.
I don't have the ability to bleep out these words. I don't have the ability to.
But we can tell you ahead of time if you don't appreciate it and you don't want to watch it, then you can step away.
I'm not going to play this video, but I'm going to let you know about this video, which has already 3,477,000 views of girls flicking people off, saying, "I am not your effing princess," over and over and over again. Okay, these people made this.
Right.
I don't know, but that girl's face looks like she was molested.
Yeah.
And it's absolutely disgusting. And I guess looks like Paul Joseph Watson had done this feminist rap will make your ears bleed. When we say feminism is cancer, I get people in the thing that say, no, feminism is great, right? So if I don't show you the cancer,
right,
and you don't see it growing inside of your body,
right,
you're not going to know it's there.
Exactly.
So I got to show the cancer. I'm not going to show this one. They've done it on InfoWars a couple times. They have the ability to bleep it out.
Right, we don't. Sorry.
But I flagged this video. Now, my videos are demonetized. A video showing migrants, a Polish video showing migrants rushing into to Europe was flagged as inappropriate. But this one with little girls and that other one are appropriate
enough for
to YouTube.
It qualifies for their community guidelines because this is the kind of community
to watch
that they want to set up.
For children to watch this.
Correct.
So that's why I have to, because YouTube is allowing children to watch this, feminists are encouraging it in your children.
Right.
And if you can just sit like this is what Christians love to do. My whole life, this is what Christians do. Oh, la, 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 I don't want to see it. And they have done nothing to fix it. And it's gotten worse and worse and worse.
Right.
And so, you have now, Paul Joseph Watson swears like a sailor, but he brings this out and says it's evil, right? Because you're not supposed to do it as kids. We know that.
Right.
You have all these, what my mom calls smoking, cussing, drinking, God-loving people. Christians who aren't afraid to be unpolitically correct. Who aren't afraid to take subjects by the horn and body slam to the ground.
Right.
I am so sick of Christians saying, "Don't show me the evil."
Right.
And they do nothing to fix it.
I have dear friends of ours that literally tell me, like, if I go to tell them about a rape or something like that, they're like, I can't hear it. Well, why? Why can't you hear it? And listen, I get it. If I had a choice to not watch that, I would choose not to watch it. But to not want to hear about the evil, to want to put your head in the sand so that you don't have to actually do anything about it to fix it. I'll take care of it. You really did do a good job.
Jasper did that.
To me is, you're doing a massive disservice to all of society. And
if we're going to show the Muslim invasions,
right,
this is a feminist invasion.
Yeah,
we're going to show the invasions of evil wherever it's at, whether it's the Federal Reserve or feminazis. This is child abuse.
Right.
And if we don't share the heck out of this everywhere, find the video, share it all over your Facebook and say, this is the face of feminism today.
Right.
Don't share my video, share the video itself.
Yeah.
So anyways, it's absolutely repulsive and disgusting. And what they're doing to children is exactly what they have been doing to, it's pretty effing powerful to have this little girl say this, or the effing unequal and sexist ways. If you're offended by kids using the word F-U-C-K, for the exact same blanking, and it goes into talk about feminist inequality and the gender pay gap. You should be offended by those things and taking to have a little girl say and abortion rights. Just insane.
All right, Patriot Geller has an addition.
Well, we have to understand history and where we're at. The pedophiles planned on taking over as soon as Hillary became president, and so they're still going on. Your political correctness, your feminism was all leading to everybody being pedophiles, and Islam gives them a religion that they can be pedophiles. And so the drag queens are coming out, and they're taking over the libraries and over the public schools and over preschools and kindergartens. This has been a plan forever, and it goes along with political correctness. It goes along with feminism. It goes with the gays coming out of the closet and transvestites everywhere. That's why Hillary had to be president.
Right.
But God is waking everybody up. He's put the foot on the brakes, and now things are going backwards, and we're going to start healing, start correcting. But these guys haven't got the message yet. They will realize that they're in the minority, and we're going to wipe them off the face of the earth unless they repent.
Through the righteousness of Jesus Christ. Obviously, we're not going to physically do that. But as Patriot Gallery said, and for those of you that are new, that's our dear mother, this is child molestation, okay?
This is child porn. This is child pedophilia.
Sticking the middle finger up is a sexual gesture.
The word, F-U-C-K,
is a sexual word. It's a violent sexual word.
Right.
And the fact that they have these kids
and to
doing
say
this,
mother effer. I mean, just to have children say that
right
over and over and over again is brainwashing and awful. So,
all right. So, where can we move on next?
We're gonna bring this all together. I'm gonna sum this up just with a few more hard hitting pieces from the false statements against the false statements by Flynn and what's going on with the FBI agent who literally, as Sean Hannity lays out, he was part of exonerating Peter Strzok. He was part of exonerating Clinton, helping Comey make it so that instead of she was grossly negligent, she was just kind of careless or whatever. And he was there sitting in on the testimony with Flynn, and that could be a violation as well, to not let a witness, not let an accused person know that one of your witnesses was compromised.
Oh, absolutely.
Compromised. He sent 10,000 texts to his mistress here.
Holy
10,000 texts, and the FBI, the Justice Department are now reading all 10,000 of them. That's over 27 text messages a day.
Wow.
And so he was relieved of his duty now. You've got Devin Nunes on there, and they are putting together a case against, I believe, I'm not sure if the Justice Department or the FBI, for not letting this information come out. They kept wanting to know, why was Peter relieved of duty? Why was he taken off the case? And they stonewalled him. They stonewalled him. I believe, it was totally the FBI.
But they knew the whole time.
And Mueller knew, and he didn't let anybody know.
Right.
And this is a case without an end. It was never actually given a beginning, never actually given a crime to investigate.
Mm-hmm.
There's no crime called collusion.
Right.
And now it's getting to the point where people are calling for the investigation of the investigators. Even Britt Human saying, I hate these special investigations. They're open-ended. They have like millions of dollars in a budget.
Right.
And all of it was set up to cover up exactly what the Hillary campaign and the Democrats have been doing. And, to give Alex Jones props. He has been saying, FBI sources have been telling us that there is a deep state coup against Trump. There's a deep state coup against Trump.
Right.
Now, this is the actual proof. There were lower level FBI agents saying, and there was, Alex Jones kept saying over and over again, I have sources inside the FBI. They're saying that there's a fighting with the upper guys. There's a fighting with the upper guys.
Right.
He's telling us this over and over and over again. He has literal sources, and this is real. This is true. Sarah Carter came out from Circa News saying that she has been saying this since, I believe, April and May, saying, I heard this from my sources that this is what was happening. Same thing happening inside the CIA. And the dam is breaking. The stuff is coming out. And Wiseman is going to he needs to recuse himself as well because he was compromised. Every single one of these guys compromised. Mueller should have not taken the case because he's literally best friends with Comey, and the investigation only started because Donald Trump fired Comey.
Right.
And fires your best friend. It's like hiring me if somebody fires you to investigate who fired you.
Right.
Right? To see what's going on in their life.
Right.
Let's see what we can find.
Right.
And the only thing they can find is that Flynn made a false statement. However, both Cheryl Mills and Huma Abedin both made false statements to the FBI.
But they were innocent in that.
But they were ignorant. But they were given immunity. Now, this is another thing on Sean Hannity and Tucker Carlson. Just as Jason Chavez was pointing out, who's now a consultant for Fox News, I believe, because he wanted to join the outside like Bannon and Gorka to get this information out there. Because sometimes when you're in the swamp, you can't get out and make a difference. And you're not free to speak like you would want to. So here's the thing. Like Jason Chavez pointed out, they were handing out immunity agreements like candy to Cheryl Mills and Huma Abedin and a whole list of people.
Right.
Which means anything that they said none of it would get them in trouble.
Right.
But there was not one criminal thing that resulted against that.
Usually, and we were talking about this the other day, when you're going to give somebody immunity, you only
you're
do that when you are guaranteed that they have something that's going to help take down the kingpin.
Like the FBI informant for Fusion GPS.
Correct.
Right? Or like a mob boss. You know that they're going to take down your kingpin.
Bingo.
And you don't ever give out more than 1 or 2 immunities. 5, you know you have an open and shut case, right? We're going to take these like 5 mob guys.
Now hang on though, Leah, for 1 second. You do hand out immunity when you literally just want to get that person off.
Exactly. And so, Cheryl Mills and Huma Abedin are toe and toe with Flynn, right? Mm-hmm. But Peter Strzok, I can't say his last name for Strzok, whatever. He let these two go, and he told everybody, I have a bias towards Clinton, and I hate Trump. And so he interviews Flynn and says, I'm going to prosecute. This is more than a conflict of interest. This is using your position at the FBI
to accomplish your agenda.
And Mueller knew this, and they tried to cover this up. Sure. Cover up the cover-up. And it's all coming uncovered, especially when you have what is this going on here with these two people? Actually gross. So I want to play here, Tucker here.
Being set up. Any reasonable person would conclude that both Mills and Abedin were lying baldly when they told the FBI they knew nothing about Clinton's email server. Lying to the FBI, as we've all just been reminded, is a felony. Yet neither Mills nor Abedin was charged or prosecuted for that. Former National Security Advisor Michael Flynn must be looking on at all this in bewilderment. Agent Strzok, it turns out, interviewed him too. But unlike Hillary Clinton's aides, Michael Flynn didn't get a pass. Flynn just pled guilty to a serious federal crime. His life has been destroyed. He's had to sell his house to pay his legal bills. 2 cases, same crime, wildly different outcomes. What do the 2 have in common? Well, 1 highly political FBI agent. All of this raises the question, what other cases has Agent Strzok influenced in recent years? The public has a right to know the answer to that immediately. The FBI belongs to voters, not to Peter Strzok and his friends. The FBI doesn't see it that way, of course. From their perspective, you've got a right to shut up and do what you're told. And by the way, you'll stop asking so many questions if you know what's good for you. This is exactly how the secret police start, when law enforcement agencies decide to do the bidding of politicians rather than pursue impartial justice on behalf of the public. We ought to nip this nightmare in the bud right now. Dan Bongino is a former NYPD officer, and he joins us tonight. So, Dan, obviously, most Americans don't want to think badly of the FBI or to suspect that politics are behind key decisions in investigations. But I am sincerely baffled as to how Huma Abedin and Cheryl Mills could apparently lie in their interviews to the FBI and escape any kind of penalty, and Michael Flynn lies and pleads to a felony charge. How can that be?
Because, Tucker, this is the weaponization of your government and mine. As a former federal agent and someone who worked inside the White House, if you're not scared of your government tonight, this case should at least tickle you a little bit and wake you up. Donald Trump's crime, make no mistake at this point, was winning this presidential election. Tucker, let's walk through just quickly how this started. This was all based on a crime, and I'm using the dreaded air quotes here, of a violation of the Logan Act. An act that has never been successfully prosecuted in the history of the constitutional republic, which says that private citizens can't negotiate with foreign governments. Really? Why isn't Jimmy Carter in jail for going to visit the Palestinians? Why isn't Jesse Jackson in jail for going to North Korea? The answer is because nobody took it seriously.
Or Barack Obama, who's abroad negotiating global warming agreements in effect all the time, or Bill Clinton, or any former president, you know, including Ronald Reagan. I mean, you're right. It's ridiculous.
Obama, who was just overseas doing that, by the way. This, and who started this whole thing with the Logan Act, according to multiple reports I've seen out there now? Sally Yates, who then used the premise of violating the Logan Act, a largely fictitious crime no one's ever been prosecuted with, used that as a premise to go to the White House and say, well, Mike Flynn is now subjected, could potentially be bribed because he violated a crime no one's ever been prosecuted for. Tucker, this is a frightening case. And then double that down with Andrew Weissman and Jim Comey. Jim Comey, who acknowledged starting the special counsel after he was fired by leaking sensitive data to the press. This case stinks. It's a scam, it's a sham, and it should scare every American regardless of your political stripes.
Well said.
So I guess what confuses me is the lack of oversight. For whatever reason, and honestly I'm confused by it, the executive branch, the White House, and the leadership of the DOJ haven't done a lot to rein them in. But the Congress also has oversight over the FBI, and it's not clear to me why FBI officials who refuse to answer basic questions like what's in Strzok's texts, why they're not being held in contempt of Congress.
Yeah, what's doubly frightening about this, Tucker, is they're stonewalling on congressional requests for information, and they're looking at potentially by Devin Nunes being held in contempt of court. Think about what we're talking about here, Tucker. The branch of government most intimately related to the people, the House of Representatives, elected every 2 years. They represent the smallest number of people at the federal level. These are the accountable entities. They have said, the representatives of the people, the FBI, give us this information now. There is something going on, and we demand as representatives of people to know it. And the FBI, not a knock on the men and women, I'll be crystal clear, they're wonderful, I've worked with them, they're great. FBI management, someone there who's been infected with the political bug, has said, nah, we're just not going to abide by that. I mean, what are you operating, a shadow government? Are you serious? Yes. Congress has demanded answers and you're just saying, no, we're not going to do it?
I don't understand why everyone seems so passive in the face of this. I mean, this is a perversion, one of the institutions that most Americans respect and want to respect, the FBI, but also it's the most powerful federal agency. I mean, they can destroy your life in an afternoon. Why is no one stepping forward to rein them in?
You know, that's a great point, Tucker. I mean, if you're a Democrat in Congress watching this show right now, I know we've got them. Aren't you worried? The government is so powerful right now that the most powerful man in the world, Donald Trump, the president, can do nothing to stop this investigation, this sham investigation from coming after him. If you're a Democrat, aren't you a little worried right now that may boomerang back on you? Conservatives have been worried about this for years. It's time for liberals to wake up and shut this disaster down. This is a political witch hunt at its...
Allow concealed carry in all states.
I did not hear about this.
House passes concealed carry say the word. Reciprocity bill. So the House passed a bill Wednesday that allows concealed carry permit holders in different states to carry to legally carry their firearms in other states. Okay, so that's in the House. It's got to go to the Senate.
Okay. Do you think it's going to pass?
I hope so. Elizabeth Warren has a slush fund for left-wing causes, billions of euro tax dollars. Another woman says Franken tried to kiss her. Everybody kept saying that he's going to resign. He just said right before it came on that he's not going to resign.
No, he's holding out to the end, man.
John Conyers is going to resign. This was funny to me. I'm going to play this, and then we're going to talk about the baker, and then we're going to head out. Cutler, Jerry Seinfeld endorses Roy Moore. That's funny.
Oh, okay.
So an MSNBC panel about Jerusalem, they were all, here's the thing. If you're anti-Israel and anti-Jerusalem, it's really weird to me because you're siding with all the leftists.
And the mainstream media.
CNN, MSNBC, Joe Scarborough. How can you be on his side? That, you know, when you're looking around, right?
Yeah.
If you have an idea on something and you're looking around to see who's on your team, and it's Joe Scarborough,
right.
MSNBC, Joy Reid, Joy Behar, The View.
It's embarrassing.
CNN. All these people are
right.
on your side.
Right.
You might just want to say, you know what? I'm just going to switch teams.
But Trump's a Nazi, remember?
My mind, I know. I put that on Twitter last night. Okay, so Trump is a Nazi.
Yes.
Nazis kill Jews.
Yep.
Nazis wanted to annihilate all Jews, but Trump's a Nazi, and he
is the only one supporting Israel.
The only one supporting Israel. I don't understand how this works. Now, here we have everybody who is anti-Israel, and the title of this
which is pretty much everyone.
Right. Title, no offense, Mr. President, Jerusalem is the capital of Palestine.
Oh, and let's not forget that Barack Obama was on your side as well.
And Linda Sauer.
They're all very
If you look to your right, and Barack Obama's on your right, and Linda Sauer's on your left, I don't care what I'm believing on.
Right.
A broken clock can be right twice a day.
But this is reaching.
But not all. If I have 100 broken clocks, and they all stop at the same time, they're not all right. There's something wrong. Somebody manipulated it.
Right.
Okay? So all these people, we know MSNBC is a broken clock. We know CNN is a broken clock. And we'll bring you some of their stuff every once in a while because broken clock's right. Twice, a couple times. But when everybody's on it, Okay. So watch this. This is funny.
Does it need
volume? 3 parties to have a negotiation. And we needed to be that third party. And what President Trump has just done is he has removed us from being that third party.
That's a good point. Heidi, if Palestinians believe this is the end of their hopes of ever claiming East Jerusalem as their capital, then what happens to them?
Well, by the way, they can still have East Jerusalem as their capital.
I was just thinking the exact same
certainly
thing.
Throws a bucket of cold water on what Jared Kushner was trying to do, which is to basically just bring the two sides to the table. And I think we have to not only look at what the Palestinians are saying, but what the broader Muslim world is saying.
They're terrorists.
That Iran is already using this to say the Muslim world needs to unite against the United States. And also look at what this does for the broader security of Americans, both in
in
the Middle East
these wonderful
and
people,
also in basically countries all across the Muslim world who are going to now make Americans look like they have a target on their back.
All right, I want to play part of what
they're now going to make Americans look like they have a target on their back. Now she's going to play a clip from the mayor. No,
mayor of Jerusalem told NBC earlier today. Listen.
That is not the mayor of Jerusalem. Those are angry Arab Palestinians throwing rocks at the Israel police.
So do you think that was the clip that they intended the whole time?
No. Somebody did that. This is awesome. That is the reaction that you get. Throwing rocks
we don't have
at
the tape.
Israeli police.
I have the quote. He said,
now,
there's
I'm
no
going to play it one more time. Watch everybody's, I'm going to play it through now. Watch everybody's reaction. They're all very kind of uncomfortable. That wasn't the clip we want. We didn't want to see that this peaceful religion, when they heard the news, wouldn't just go home and pray to Allah.
Right.
They would go violent and try to kill people.
Listen. We don't have the tape. I have the quote. He said, there's no scenario in any peace process.
Oops. Their eyes are going back and forth.
So, about that.
Now, we're going to end with this. Now,
good news.
If the Supreme Court, and I don't believe they will, I believe they'll rule in his favor, sided against the baker, would Christians then go and throw rocks and bomb the Supreme Court?
I don't know.
Do you see the difference? These Arabs, when they don't get their way, they're worse than a 2-year-old. They're a 2-year-old with an AK-47.
Right, or like a little...
Imagine a 2-year-old not getting their toy.
And they have grenades
And they have grenades and bombs.
Right.
And suicide vests. Palestine still pays the families of suicide bombers. How is this a thing? This is what I don't understand, these anti-Jews people, right? Palestinians paid the families of terrorists. They train these children up.
Right.
They recruit them at 14
but are you
and
sure
15
that they're
years
not
old.
just paying the families kind of like, I'm really sorry that you've lost your loved one and that you have to receive the shame of having a loved one that was a suicide bomber, so we're going to give you some money.
There's a video that we've showed you guys where the Palestinians kindergarten parent show.
Mm-hmm. They don't have like plays at the end of, the school year where they're doing like, Oklahoma. No. They are up there with their
dressed as
AK-47
shoulders,
whatever,
killing Israelis.
Yeah, bang, bang, bang. These kids, little like 5-6-year-olds.
You can disagree with their politics.
Yeah.
Okay? You can not like the way that they do things.
Right.
But I don't like when other Muslims kill other Muslims. There's always a bad guy.
Yeah.
And if there's two bad guys, then I just set it to the side. Go kill yourselves, right?
They're going to go kill yourselves.
Okay. But in this case, Israel... I stand with them. However,
right,
okay,
so back to the baker and candlestick maker.
Yeah, so.
It's a case with potentially huge repercussions for Christian business owners. Masterpiece Cake Shop versus Colorado Civil Rights Commission. Hi everybody, I'm Jenna Browder here at the Supreme Court of the United States, where one of the biggest Supreme Court cases of the year is happening. And just a little bit of backstory on this case. About 5 years ago, Masterpiece Cake Shop owner Jack Phillips refused to make a wedding cake for a gay couple. Well, that couple filed formal complaints saying Phillips violated Colorado's anti-discrimination laws. The state's Civil Rights Commission and Appeals Court agreed. Phillips was forced to stop making cakes altogether, and it cost him roughly 40% of his business. Now it's up to these 9 justices to decide whether it was legally okay for him to tell that gay couple no. The group representing Phillips, Alliance Defending Freedom, says this is about religious liberty, not discrimination.
Jack gladly serves everybody that walks into a shop, and even the couple involved in this case. He said, I'll gladly sell you cookies, brownies, whatever you want off the shelves, but to create a custom piece of artwork, he can't cross that line. And so the principle we're advocating for is something that would protect everybody here today, the freedom of everyone to say, I don't want to create that expression. And so whether it's a Democrat speechwriter that may not want to write for a Republican, or a dress designer that doesn't want to do for Melania, all of those would be protected by the principle here.
And the Supreme Court will make a ruling in June.
So, should all the dressmakers have to make Melania's dresses? Because there's a lot who didn't want to. I was thinking about an atheist songwriter. Mm-hmm. Should he be forced to write a Christian song that says Jesus is Lord?
Right.
What about somebody who doesn't believe in? What if somebody who doesn't believe in creation is forced to illustrate a children's book saying that God created the universe? Forced, by the way. Your art isn't going to be that good if you force someone, by the way.
Yeah.
Okay? And so we don't see this happening in Muslim bakeries because gay people would never go to a Muslim bakery.
And here is the difference. Like he just said, the owner said, I will sell you whatever.
Anything. So, you're welcome in my shop.
It's not that he wouldn't serve
He
them.
didn't. And that's what people are, the ACLU keeps saying, you're denying people service like people of color and the whole civil rights movement. Right. But he's not denying service. You come in, I will serve you. Anything that's done.
And I have a feeling that if they had gone in and asked for just a random cake and not given their meaning behind it, can you make this cake for us?
He would make any cake for them.
He would have made them a cake.
He couldn't make the wedding cake for them.
Exactly.
It's not that he wouldn't make a cake for them.
Right.
He said, I'll make anything for you.
Well,
I can't
the
make
atrocity
the custom
in this
gay cake
situation is that somebody can be put in jail for refusing service
based on their religious principles.
That's where I go up in arms. I'm angry and upset if they were to cause his business to shut down. I would still be upset and infuriated. But when you actually take that person and put them in jail because of doing this, you have crossed all lines and it's just become a lynching party. Patriot Gallery.
It makes it simple. I like to bring things, make them simple. It's like asking me to cuss or say a swear word. I can't do that.
Right. Exactly. So, okay, here's the thing.
What if I was to make a cake and everybody wanted me to draw FU on it?
I would not do it. I could not. If I was a baker and somebody asked me to put a swear word on a cake, I would not write it. I would say, here's some icing. You may write it yourself.
So the clause that they're saying here, for their argument, to play devil's advocate, is that that pornography or KKK or things like that, they're not a protected class. However, they have made race, religion, and sexual orientation a protected class. But what happens when what they were saying is during the civil rights movement, people were trying to invoke religion to deny black people access. Okay. So, but what you're saying is you can't use your special rights that gay people have. You're blocking. You can't not allow somebody in because of it.
Right. All right. So here's.
But you can't make somebody create something for you. You could have you might not have time. You might not have the inclination. You might not think that you have the artistic ability to express that well. We did craft shows for a while, and I would be asked to do custom paintings. And if there was something I felt like I couldn't do, then I would have to turn it down. Whether it was normally I never did turn anybody down, but if I felt like it was beyond my scope,
Yeah, you did a daggum Noah's Ark for somebody. That's really reaching. I mean, that's a lot of little animals. Okay, so the thing that really makes me upset here is that, Leah and I, we own and operate a pet sitting business, and I don't feel comfortable working with certain people. It doesn't matter what kind of person they are. There was a married couple, male and female. We went to the consultation, and we felt very, very uncomfortable.
The way he treated his dog was with this zapper, and it was kind of violent. And so
I don't want to have work dealings with that person. We offer a service, and we have the right.
And we have to go into people's homes
to deny that service to somebody
if we feel uncomfortable.
But we have also been approached by homosexual couples, and again, I didn't feel comfortable. And
the reason we didn't we've only had two. We took the first one. They were our clients. And they were clients for several visits. The second one, we didn't feel comfortable. We didn't take them because we didn't do horses at the time.
Yeah, but it kind of worked in our favor. Because I didn't want to have to work with...
now we're going to be targeted.
You know what? They can target me. They can shut down my business, whatever. I wasn't comfortable with these people. Just the same as I wasn't comfortable with the other guy. You have to be able to say, I'm not comfortable here.
It wasn't that you weren't comfortable with them because they were lesbians.
No, we took the first clients that we were comfortable with them. It was fine.
It was that...
She was very forceful on the phone.
Very forceful. You're going to do this. You're going to do that.
Yeah. I'm not comfortable there.
Exactly.
Not going to do it.
Exactly. So
you have to be able to gauge and measure and not have... So what really bothers me...
And we dropped the client because he kept leaving condoms all over the place.
We dropped the client because I was sick of showing up to his house and No, he wasn't dropping... The dogs got into the trash can and were leaving trash all over the place, and there were condoms all over the floor. You know what, dude? I'm sorry, you actually are outside of our range, which he was, and we're honing it in, and that was a really good excuse, but it really was just because I was sick
picking up your dirty used condoms, son.
But I did. I got out gloves. I got out paper towels because I have to do this pet visit. You're gone for a week, and I'm not stepping around that condom the whole time that I'm here, okay? You got to be able to say no to people when we don't meld. And you can't jail somebody for that.
Right.
I'm just saying. All right. So there was good news there, actually.
Yeah, here.
We didn't get to the good news. I'm like, why are we back at Tucker?
This case
he's covering
the rest of us who don't own cake shops in Colorado.
Because it's broadly about freedom of speech. And the artists that create cakes, the artists that create music, print, all sorts of artistic creations. Anybody who's in the free speech business would be affected if the ACLU's theory of the case is adopted. They contend that anybody who creates any kind of speech in the stream of commerce has no First Amendment rights whatsoever to not be coerced by the government. And that kind of coercion of speech is at the pinnacle of what the Free Speech Clause has always been designed to protect against.
Well, wait a second. The ACLU's theory, I thought the ACLU was founded in order to protect the freedom of speech of the unpopular, by the way, of war resistors in the First World War and Nazis and other people on the fringes. But they've given up on that charter?
They have indeed. I think they've lost their way. I didn't agree with the ACLU on many issues over the year. but I admired them for their consistency on free speech. But today they've turned their back on that. The agenda of advancing the gay marriage issue has, I think, blinded them to the free speech implications of their own position. Moreover, the court really focused, Justice Kennedy in particular, focused on the religious intolerance that was shown by one of the Colorado Civil Rights Commissioners. And Justice Kennedy engaged in the most heated exchange I've ever seen in the dozens of Supreme Court cases I've watched, and basically forced the Solicitor General of Colorado to disavow a statement by one of the commissioners who was very anti-religious in their comments. And I think that may really turn this case in an important direction.
Yeah, I don't really know what this has to do with same-sex marriage or gay rights, and I personally know some gay people who are appalled by this, because it suggests that government can tell you, whoever you are, exactly what to think, and if you disagree, they can punish you. I mean, that's a threat to everybody, no matter who you voted for.
That's exactly right. America used to be founded on the premise that I disagree with what you say, but I'll defend to the death your right to say it. Right. That's an important principle that was at stake today, and I really hope and believe that the court's going to come out right on this, but it's going to be a close call. Very, very contentious today.
Is that true? So who on the Supreme Court would you expect would uphold the idea that government can punish you for having views it dislikes?
Some of the liberal justices on the court made comments that would tend to put them in that direction, but I have hope that a couple of the others that are usually in the liberal category may see the better of it, and so I'd rather not name names unless I predict wrongly and lose a vote on the Supreme Court.
That might be counterproductive. Mike, thank you very much.
Thank you, Tucker.
These should not be lifetime appointments, by the way.
No, nothing should be a lifetime appointment.
How come you can take a president out, but you can't take can you take a Supreme Court justice out? Can the other justices just knock him out?
So this guy's been in jail, right?
I don't think so.
Or this has been going on for a few years.
Yeah, I don't think
he hasn't been in jail yet.
He lost his business, but I don't think he's been in jail.
He lost his business. He's been fighting this for a long time.
There's been a long list of people. There have been other bakers, the other cake bakers, other florists, people who rent out their barns for weddings, things like that, and they've all kind of been ruled against. So this would be a possible victory. Right. I think that the screen shirt printer, I think it was ruled in his favor. So we should
Patriot Gallery.
One more thing. Gallery.
Well, when you stand on the truth of the Constitution and its power, in the beginning, they would take Supreme Court judges out for being drunkards. There were a lot of them removed by the president when their behavior was not upstanding.
Good point.
All right, so we need to wrap it up.
We do need to wrap it up. It's been a long evening. Thank you guys for being with us. Thank you to our moderators, Will, Gary, Maia. Hope I'm not forgetting anybody else in the midst of this. Thank you guys for being here. So What showed up in the chat. I want you guys to go and find him on Facebook. YouTube here is sowhat.back, I think. Correct?
You gotta sing.
We will sing.
People were like, I gotta get out of here. This is dirty. I gotta go somewhere clean. You gotta clean
right.
it up.
What song do you want to sing? What child is this? How about that? Have we sung that one? Mm-hmm. We did that one already.
You were going to sing something.
Yeah, but they weren't like hymns, and now we need something like clean.
Weren't you going to sing Hark the Herald Angels Sings
we could
or something
sing
like that?
One. We could.
I had a song I was singing on my way. Oh, yeah. This is the air I breathe.
You want to sing that one?
I was singing on the way.
Okay. I'm going to let you. You always make me start it out, and then you don't like the key I started out in, because that's a low song.
Is it?
It is.
I didn't feel like it was that low.
So we have a P.O. Box 107. Actually, we got something in it today. I think we'll cover it next time because this was a really long show. I don't like to have our shows go over 2 hours. Right. But you know what? It is what it is, and we had a lot, like I said, to cover tonight. But we have a P.O. Box 107, Milford, Ohio, 45150. You can find us on Facebook. You can find us on Twitter. We have an additional channel, Resistance Chicks. Make sure you subscribe to us on both of those channels. So Leah's picked out this song. It's not going to be Christmassy. This is just a contemporary Christian song.
I was singing this on my. We drove long way out to get some pig stuff today. So, okay,
go on.
This is the air I breathe. This is the air I breathe. Your holy presence living in me. This is my daily bread. This is my daily bread. Your very word spoken in me, and I'm desperate for you, oh Lord, and I'm lost without you, oh Lord. This is the air I breathe. This is the air I breathe. Your holy presence living in me, and I'm desperate for you, oh Lord, and I'm lost without you, oh Lord. This is my daily bread. This is my daily bread. Your very word spoken to me, and I'm desperate for you, oh Lord, and I'm lost without you, oh Lord. And I don't know how it ends.
I don't know. It just kind of ends there.
Something like that.
That's good enough.
There's an end to that.
That was really good.
This is the air I breathe. This is the air I breathe.
Whoa. Get it, girl.
All right.
Okay, so thank you guys for being with us this evening. Like I said, we covered some hot topics, and we have a lot of differing opinions on this subject, and we value your opinions. And that's the difference where I want you guys to recognize maybe where you don't actually value someone else's. So I don't know. Put it in the comments. Let other people comment back and forth, but please try to be civil, try to be intelligent, and try to walk in the love of Christ. If you don't have anything that you can say in a loving manner, then you probably shouldn't be saying it at all. Patriot Dollar has one more thing to add.
Well, originally, also all Supreme Court judges.
Sorry, I'm telling her to turn the volume down on us that she's watching.
All Supreme Court judges must reference the Bible. Every case up until like 1920, 1930, every case was referenced the Bible because only God can judge.
You could use the Bible.
Man can't judge another man.
Right.
Only God can judge people. So the Supreme Court has to go to God's word because it's crime is when you break the 10 Commandments. You lied, you stole, you killed, you murdered.
Right.
My mom did not just say stole. She knows better than that. She raised us how to speak. Sometimes we just get a little redneck around here. Just stole.
All right.
All right, you guys. So once again, we love you. God loves you. God bless. It's not just a conspiracy theory if it's actually the truth. So we will see you again on Fridays. We go live at 6 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, and again on Sunday at 1 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, where we cover European and UK news. So don't forget, you guys can, I'm going to add So What's channel to our, what I call our family channels on the front of our homepage. So you guys can, I know it's not exactly family friendly, but he's working on it. God bless him. Really great stuff. So you guys can subscribe to all the channels that are there that Leah and I want to recommend. So we love you guys, and we will see you back Friday.
Let's go.